Si no estás informado, no puedes tener opinión.
Bio Bio, la radio, presenta El Informador.
¿Cómo están? Muy buenas tardes. Bienvenidos y bienvenidas al Informador de las 17 horas. Esta tarde abandonará la cárcel de Temuco el diputado desaforado Mauricio Ojeda, acusado por fraude al fisco la arista manicure del caso Fundaciones. Carlos Martínez de Radio Bio Bio en Temuco nos cuenta más.
En cualquier momento, el desaforado diputado Mauricio Ojeda Rebolledo abandona el centro de cumplimiento penitenciario de Temuco, aquí en la avenida Balmaceda, donde ha estado cumpliendo la cautelar de prisión preventiva. Recordemos que le fue modificada previo pago de una caución de 40 millones de pesos por arresto domiciliario total. El congresista desaforado está acusado en la arista manicure del caso Fundaciones por el delito de fraude al fisco y estaba en prisión preventiva hasta esta mañana, cuando en una audiencia el juez de garantía Luis Olivares la modificó por arresto domiciliario previo pago de la caución a que hacemos referencia, a la que ya fue ingresada al juzgado de garantía. En la cárcel de Temuco, Bio Bio, la radio.
Funcionarios del Poder Judicial en paro se manifestaron frente al Palacio de la Moneda. Francisco Gutiérrez tiene más información.
Sí, un centenar de personas congregó esta movilización que, pasado el mediodía, se ubicó en la Plaza de la Constitución al frente del Palacio de la Moneda y después se movieron hacia el frontis del Ministerio de Justicia. La manifestación estuvo comandada por funcionarios de las corporaciones de asistencia judicial, quienes se encuentran en un paro indefinido, así con banderas, pancartas y al ritmo de la batucada exigieron mejoras en cuanto al trabajo que realizan, sueldos diferentes, fue lo que plantearon dentro de las problemáticas que afectan a este gremio, lo que plantearon se debe solucionar de manera paulatina. En ese sentido, conversamos con Marcelo Inostroza, abogado presidente de la Federación Nacional de Funcionarios de la Justicia, quien señaló también que se mencionan falta de herramientas y recursos dentro de esta labor, destacando también la carga de trabajo insostenible que acusan realizan día a día. En ese sentido, plantearon que la autoridad no ha ofrecido respuestas efectivas, lo que ha aumentado el descontento entre los funcionarios y ha aumentado el apoyo entre magistrados que han suspendido incluso audiencias.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Nice crowd. What a good-looking group of people. Well, we have some very, very good news today, and a lot of good things are happening for our country. Please sit down. My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day, waiting for a long time. April 2nd, 2025 will forever be remembered as the day American industry was reborn, the day America's destiny was reclaimed, and the day that we began to make America wealthy again. We're going to make it wealthy, good and wealthy. For decades, our country has been looted, pillaged, raped, and plundered by nations near and far, both friend and foe alike. American steelworkers, auto workers, farmers, and skilled craftsmen. We have a lot of them here with us today. They really suffered gravely. They watched in anguish as foreign leaders have stolen our jobs, foreign cheaters have ransacked our factories, and foreign scavengers have torn apart our once beautiful American dream. We had an American dream that you don't hear so much about. You did 4 years ago, and you are now, but you don't too often, for many years and decades even, you didn't hear too much about. Our country and its taxpayers have been ripped off for more than 50 years, but it is not going to happen anymore. It's not going to happen. Foreign leaders have stolen our jobs, foreign cheaters have ransacked our factories. In a few moments, I will sign a historic executive order instituting reciprocal tariffs on countries throughout the world. Reciprocal, that means they do it to us and we do it to them. Very simple. Can't get any simpler than that. Our country and its taxpayers have been ripped off. This is one of the most important days, in my opinion, in American history. It's our declaration of economic independence. For years, hardworking American citizens were forced to sit on the sidelines as other nations got rich and powerful, much of it at our expense. But now it's our turn to prosper, and in so doing, use trillions and trillions of dollars to reduce our taxes and pay down our national debt, and it'll all happen very quickly. With today's action, we are finally going to be able to make America great again, greater than ever before. For years, hardworking American citizens were forced to sit on the sidelines. Jobs and factories will come roaring back into our country, and you see it happening already. We will supercharge our domestic industrial base. We will pry open foreign markets and break down foreign trade barriers. And ultimately, more production at home will mean stronger competition and lower prices for consumers. This will be indeed the golden age of America. It's coming back. We're going to come back very strongly. Jobs and factories. We're pleased to be joined on this momentous occasion by Vice President J.D. Vance. J.D., thank you. Domestic industrial base. We will pry open foreign markets and break down foreign trade barriers. And ultimately, more production at home will mean that wasn't too hard to find. And lower prices. I was looking, he likes to take a low-key attitude. So usually we sit right in front. He's gaining a lot of confidence, Mike. We're going to come back very strong. And nearly my entire cabinet is here, as well as Speaker Mike Johnson, who's done an amazing job. Momentous occasion by Vice President J.D. Vance. And with the great success we had last night in Florida, we have a majority of 7, and 7's like a lot when we had it at 1, right? You've done a fantastic job, and many of the members of the House and Senate are with us. Senators, Congressmen, thank you all for being with us. We appreciate it. For decades, the United States slashed our trade barriers on other countries, while those nations placed massive tariffs on our products and created outrageous non-monetary barriers to decimate our industries, and in many cases the non-monetary barriers were worse than the monetary ones. They manipulated their currencies, subsidized their exports, stole our intellectual property, imposed exorbitant VAT taxes to disadvantage our products, adopted unfair rules and technical standards, and created filthy pollution havens. They were absolutely filthy, but they always came to us and they said, we're violating, we should pay for it. It's all detailed in a very big report by the U.S. Trade Representative on Foreign Trade Barriers, And I'll just hold it up for you. It's available, and you don't have to pay too much, as I understand it. You pay nothing. It's a lot of work. A lot of work for something, actually, because it's a special book. It's very, frankly, it's very upsetting when you read it, when you see what people have been doing to us for 30 years. This all happened with no response from the United States of America, none whatsoever. But those days are over. Let me offer just a few examples of the vicious attacks workers have faced for so many years. The United States charges other countries only a 2.4 tariff on motorcycles. Meanwhile, Thailand and others are charging much higher prices, like 60%. India charges 70%. Vietnam charges 75%, and others are even higher than that. Likewise, until today, the United States has for decades charged a 2.5 tariff. Think of that, 2.5% on foreign-made automobiles. The European Union charges us more than 10% tariffs, and they have 20% VAT, much higher. India charges 70%, and perhaps worst of all are the non-monetary restrictions imposed by South Korea, Japan, and very many other nations as a result of these colossal trade barriers. 81% of the cars in South Korea are made in South Korea. 94% of the cars in Japan are made in Japan. Toyota sells 1 million foreign-made automobiles into the United States, and General Motors sells almost none. Ford sells very little. None of our companies are allowed to go into other countries. And I say that friend and foe. And in many cases, the friend is worse than the foe.
Pero esto no va a pasar más.
But such horrendous imbalances have devastated our industrial base and put our national security at risk. I don't blame these other countries at all for this calamity. I blame former presidents and national leaders who weren't doing their job. They let it happen, and they let it happen to an extent that nobody can even believe. That's why, effective at midnight, we will impose a 25% tariff on all foreign-made automobiles.
Este es uno de los días más importantes, en mi opinión, en la historia estadounidense. Es nuestra declaración de independencia económica. Por años los estadounidenses estaban sentarse en el margen mientras otras naciones se enriquecían, se hacían más poderosas. Mucho de esto a nuestro costo, pero ahora es turno nuestro de prosperar. Y al hacerlo, serán millones y millones de dólares en los que reduciremos nuestros impuestos, pagaremos nuestra deuda nacional, y eso todo ocurrirá muy rápido. Con las acciones de hoy, finalmente vamos a poder hacer que Estados Unidos sea grandioso de nuevo, más grandioso que nunca antes. Trabajos y fábricas volverán a nuestro país y lo van a ver. Ya lo están viendo. Sobrecargaremos nuestra base industrial doméstica. Abriremos nuevos mercados y romperemos barreras al comercio exterior. Finalmente, más producción local significará una competencia más fuerte, precios más bajos para los consumidores, y esto será la era dorada de Estados Unidos. Se está volviendo. Vamos a volver. Y va a ser muy fuerte. Nos complace contar en esta ocasión con nuestro vicepresidente J.D. Vance. J.D., muchas gracias. Muchas gracias. ¿Dónde está J.D.? Ahí está. No fue muy difícil de encontrar. A él le gusta tomar una actitud de bajo perfil, pero aquí lo estamos viendo enfrente. Él está ganando mucha confianza. Casi que todo mi gabinete está acá. Mike Johnson, el líder, ha hecho un gran trabajo. Y con este gran éxito que tuvimos anoche en Florida, tuvimos una mayoría de 7. 7 es una gran cantidad, había uno. Han hecho un trabajo increíble. Muchos de los miembros de la Cámara del Senado están con nosotros. Senadores, congresistas, muchas gracias por estar con nosotros. Realmente lo apreciamos. Por décadas Estados Unidos recortó las barreras comerciales, mientras estos otros países ponían grandes aranceles sobre nuestros productos y crearon unas barreras no monetarias impresionantes para acabar con nuestras industrias. En muchas muchas situaciones estas barreras no monetarias eran peores que las monetarias. Manipularon su moneda, subsidiaron sus exportaciones, robaron nuestra propiedad intelectual e impusieron unos grandes impuestos al consumo de nuestros productos. Adaptaron reglas injustas, crearon dobles estándares y crearon refugios para la polución. Eran absurdos, pero siempre venían a nosotros y decían que nosotros lo estábamos violando y que nosotros debemos pagar por eso. Todo está detallado en un gran reporte por parte de los representantes comerciales para estas barreras del comercio exterior. Se los mostraré aquí. Está disponible. No tienen que pagar, como entiendo, no hay que pagar mucho. Esto fue mucho trabajo para algo, porque es un libro muy especial. Francamente, es bastante perturbador cuando uno lo lee, cuando uno lo ve, lo que la gente nos ha hecho por 30 años. Todo esto ocurrió sin ningún tipo de respuesta de los Estados Unidos de América, ninguna en lo absoluto. Pero esos días se acabaron. Quiero ofrecer unos cuantos ejemplos de esos ataques sorprendentes en contra de nuestros trabajadores que han enfrentado por tantos años. Estados Unidos carga a otros países solamente una arancel de 2.5% sobre las motocicletas, mientras Tailandia y otros están cargando unos precios más altos, como del 60%. India está cargando 70%, Vietnam carga 75%, otros incluso más alto. Asimismo, hasta hoy Estados Unidos, por décadas, había cargado una arancel de 2.5, piensen en eso, 2.5% sobre automóviles hechos en el extranjero. La Unión Europea nos carga más de 10%, de aranceles de 10%, y tienen impuesto al valor agregado de 25%. India tiene 70%, y incluso peor son las restricciones no monetarias impuestas por Corea del Sur y por Japón y muchas otras naciones. Como resultado de estas barreras colosales al comercio, 81% de los automóviles en Corea del Sur están hechos en Corea del Sur, 94% de los carros en Japón están hechos en Japón. Toyota vende 1 millón de autos hechos en mercados extranjeros sobre Estados Unidos, y General Motors no vende ninguno, Ford vende muy poco. Ninguna de nuestras compañías pueden ir a otros países. Y digo esto a nuestros amigos y enemigos. En muchos casos el amigo es peor que el enemigo en términos de comercio. Pero tales imbalances horrendos han dañado nuestra base industrial y han puesto nuestra seguridad nacional en riesgo. Y no culpo a estos otros países en lo absoluto por esta calamidad. Culpo a los expresidentes y a los anteriores líderes que no estaban haciendo su trabajo, dejaron que ocurriera y dejaron que pasara a una extensión que nadie cree. Por eso es que efectivo, esta medianoche pondremos una arancel sobre el 25% de estos autos hechos en el extranjero. Muchas gracias. Brian, quisiera que viniera un momento. Lo veo aquí sentado. Él ha sido un fan nuestro. Él entiende este negocio mucho mejor que los economistas, mucho mejor que cualquier otro. Brian, por favor, unas palabras. Gracias, señor presidente. Es un honor. Muchas gracias, señor presidente. Yo crecí al norte de Detroit, Michigan, en McCollum County, conocido como el hogar de los demócratas. Mi primer voto presidencial fue para Ronald Reagan. Creí que iba a ser el mejor presidente que había visto en mi vida hasta que llegó Donald J. Trump. Yo he visto toda mi vida.
Aprovechando parte de las declaraciones del presidente de Estados Unidos, Donald Trump, nuestro país y sus contribuyentes han sido estafados por más de 50 años, partía indicando, pero esto no va a pasar más. Firmará una orden instruyendo los aranceles recíprocos. Este es uno de los días más importantes, en mi opinión, en la historia estadounidense, y además anunció un arancel de 25% a los automóviles. Sigamos escuchando al presidente de Estados Unidos, Donald Trump.
No quieren de la carne, no la quieren porque no quiere afectar a sus granjeros, y no los culpo, pero estamos haciendo lo mismo. Ahora mismo. Empezamos a medianoche esta noche, debería decirlo. Y China le carga a los granjeros de arroz un arancel de 65%. Corea del Sur carga alrededor del 50 al 500. En Japón, particularmente, nuestro amigo nos carga el 700%, pero no quieren que vendamos rosa rosa. ¿Y quién los puede culpar? Señora Secretaria de Agricultura, ¿cierto? Gran trabajo que se está haciendo en los huevos particularmente. El precio de los huevos ha disminuido un 50%. 50%, una vez nos involucramos, estaba aumentando. Los precios de los huevos estaban yendo a los cielos. Usted hizo un trabajo fantástico, ahora tenemos muchos huevos a un precio mucho más económico, 59% más barato, y está bajando más. Nosotros cargamos 2.8% a muchas cosas que hacen otros países y que ellos nos cargan 200, 300%, luego 400%. Al imponer aranceles y barreras protectoras, se hacen en naciones más pobres. Cualquier país quisiera acabar con estas políticas. China estaría en primer lugar. Son un país muy fuerte, pero no están en primer lugar. El pueblo estadounidense está pagando un precio muy alto. De 1789 a 1913, fuimos una nación patrocinada por aranceles. Estados Unidos era el país proporcionalmente más rico. A partir de 1880 se estableció una comisión para decidir qué se iba a hacer con las grandes sumas de dinero que se estaban recaudando. Estábamos recogiendo tanto dinero tan rápido que no sabíamos qué hacer con él. Es un buen problema para tener, Marco, ¿cierto? Es un buen problema. A Marco le encantaría ese problema. Pero ya no tenemos ese problema. Pero esto no va a ser así por mucho tiempo, debo decir. Ellos recogieron tanto dinero que formaron una comisión para determinar qué iba a hacerse con el dinero. A quién se le iba a dar, cuándo se le iba a dar. Y luego en 1913, por razones desconocidas para la humanidad, se estableció el impuesto al ingreso. Así que los ciudadanos, en vez de los países extranjeros, empezaron a pagar el dinero necesario para manejar nuestro gobierno, para hacer que andara. Luego en 1929 todo tuvo un fin muy abrupto con la Gran Depresión. Y esto nunca hubiera ocurrido si se hubieran mantenido con las políticas de aranceles. Hubiera sido mucho mejor. Intentaron volver a los aranceles para salvar a nuestro país, pero fue tarde. Fue muy tarde. Nada podía hacerse. Tomó años y años salir de esa depresión. Mucho más que incluso el cargo de Franklin D. Roosevelt. Esto ocurrió por mucho tiempo más. Es una situación un poco intrincada, como las rampas que se construyeron ahí por él. Cada vez que camino por ahí pienso, él hizo un gran trabajo en muchas formas. Pero esto duró mucho más incluso que sus periodos. Pero no es muy tarde. Vamos a empezar a hacerlo de manera inteligente. Vamos a empezar a ser adinerados de nuevo. Adinerados como país, porque han tomado mucha de nuestra riqueza. No la han quitado. No vamos a dejar que esto ocurra de nuevo. Realmente podemos ser muy adinerados, podemos ser muy más ricos que cualquier otro país. Es increíble. Vamos a hacerlo más inteligente. Luego, frente a la guerra económica, Estados Unidos no puede seguir con esta política unilateral de rendirse unilateralmente. No podemos pagar los déficits de Canadá, de México y de otros países. Solíamos hacerlo, no podemos hacerlo ya. Tenemos que encargarnos de países alrededor del mundo, pagar por su ejército, pagar por todo lo que tienen que pagar. Y luego cuando uno quiere recordar un poco, ellos se enojan porque uno ya no se encarga de las cosas. Pero hay que cuidar a nuestro pueblo. Y hay que cuidar a nuestro pueblo primero. Lamento decirlo. Y hoy estamos defendiendo al trabajador estadounidense. Finalmente, estamos poniendo a Estados Unidos en primer lugar. En el último año del dormido Joe Biden, Estados Unidos dejó ir más de 1 millón de trabajos en manufactura. La deuda estaba aumentando a niveles que nunca se habían visto antes. Nuestro déficit comercial llegó a un récord de 1.3 billones de dólares. Esto no se había escuchado antes. Desde el inicio del TLC, el peor trato hecho. Fui capaz de terminarlo. Todos dijeron no iba a poder lograrlo. Tenemos que tener una aprobación del Congreso para hacer que se acabara. Tuvimos que vivir con ese trato mucho tiempo. Fue el peor trato comercial hecho, jamás. Pero desde el inicio del TLC, nuestro país perdió 90.000 fábricas. Piensen en eso, 90.000. Piensen en un mapa y poner puntos. No habría espacio en el mapa 90.000. Pensé, dije, es posible, había que revisarlo. Revisé 4 veces. Era un poco mayor. 5 millones de trabajo en manufactura fueron perdidos. Estamos reuniendo déficit también de 93 billones de dólares. Ese fue el peor trato comercial hecho jamás. Como resultado de estas pérdidas gigantes a las naciones extranjeras, Ahora tienen 26 billones de bienes estadounidenses. En comparación con los bienes que tiene estadounidense, en el extranjero, estadounidenses no puede producir suficientes antibióticos para tratar a la gente enferma. Tenemos un problema increíble. Tenemos que ir a países extranjeros, a otros países para tratar a la gente enferma. En otra situación, podríamos hacerlo. Importamos virtualmente casi todas las computadoras, teléfonos, televisores y electrónicos. Solíamos dominar este campo, ahora lo importamos todo de países distintos. Un taller en China produce más navíos en un año que todos los talleres en Estados Unidos combinados. Solíamos dominar totalmente esta situación. Los déficits ya no son un problema económico nacional, es una emergencia nacional que amenaza nuestra seguridad y nuestro estilo de vida. Es una gran amenaza sobre nuestro país y por estas razones, a partir de mañana, Estados Unidos implementará aranceles recíprocos sobre otras naciones. Ha pasado mucho tiempo desde que incluso considerábamos hacer eso. Solíamos hacerlo antes, solíamos pensar mucho en esto antes, no lo hicimos por décadas y ya vemos lo que está pasando. Para las naciones que nos han maltratado, calculamos las tasas combinadas de todos sus aranceles no monetarias y otras formas de engaño. Y ya que estamos siendo muy amables, somos un pueblo amable, muy amable. Ustedes no son tan amables cuando los roban. Mis amigos automotrices, mis amigos de los equipos, todos los sindicatos que han votado demócratas ya no están votando demócratas porque los trabajadores, sea que estén en sindicatos o no, definitivamente son republicanos ahora. Eso es lo que pasa. Pero les cargaremos aproximadamente la mitad de lo que nos están cargando a nosotros, que nos están cobrando a nosotros. Las aranceles no van a ser completamente recíprocos. Yo podría hacerlo, sí, pero hubiera sido muy difícil para muchos países que no querían hacerlo. Yo quisiera ver una tabla, si la tienen. ¿Podrían mostrarla, por favor? Es realmente una gran secretaria de Comercio. Muchas gracias. Entonces, si miramos esto, China en la primera fila, China, 67% esos son aranceles que se le cargan a Estados Unidos, incluyendo manipulación en moneda y barreras comerciales. 67%. Creo que lo pueden ver la mayoría de personas, estos con buenos ojos, con malos ojos. Hace mucho viento, no queríamos traer las grandes tablas porque no hay oportunidad. Afortunadamente vinimos con esta, la pequeña. 67%. Estaremos cargándoles una tarifa recíproca descontada de 34%. Creo que ellos nos hacen cargo, nosotros les hacemos un cargo poco menor. ¿Quién se puede enojar realmente? Ellos se van a enojar porque nunca les hemos cargado nada, pero ahora vamos a cobrarles. La Unión Europea son muy difíciles, unos grandes comerciantes. Uno piensa en la Unión Europea muy amistosa, ellos los estafan, es tristísimo de ver, es bastante patético. 39% les vamos a cargar, 29%. Vietnam, grandes negociadores, un gran pueblo. Les agrado, me agradan, el problema es que nos cargan 90%, nosotros les vamos a cargar 46%, un arancel. Taiwán, tomaron todos nuestros chips de computadores y nuestros semiconductores, solíamos ser los reyes, teníamos todo eso. Ahora no tenemos casi nada, a excepción de las grandes compañías que están viniendo. Vamos a terminar con casi 43%. Estamos trabajando en estas aprobaciones. Es una compañía increíble. El señor Wei, de una de las grandes compañías del mundo, están viniendo desde Taiwán. Van a construir una de las mayores plantas del mundo, posiblemente la más grande para eso. 64% y les vamos a cargar 32%. Japón, muy difícil, un gran pueblo. Y de nuevo, no los culpo por hacer esto. Creo que son muy inteligentes. Culpo a la gente que se sentaba en esta oficina o justo ahí, detrás del escritorio. Miren, Japón, 46%. Nos estaban cargando 46%, mucho más alto por ciertos objetos como carros, algunos pequeñeces como carros. 46% les vamos a cargar 24%. India, muy difícil. El primer ministro acaba de irse, gran amigo mío, pero bueno, decía él, era amigo mío, pero no nos trataba bien. 52% nos cobraban y nosotros no les cobramos nada por años y años y décadas. Fue hace nada más 7 años que vine. Empezamos con China y recibimos cientos de millones de dólares de parte de China en aranceles. Y ellos entendieron, honestamente. El presidente Xi entendió y dijo, bueno, yo entiendo. Los otros países todos lo entienden. Vamos a tener que pasar por una situación un poco ruda, posiblemente, pero todos entienden. Nos están estafando y ellos lo entienden ahora. El primer ministro de Japón, Shinzo. Él era Shinzo Abe. Era un hombre fantástico. Infortunadamente lo asesinaron, nos lo quitaron, pero dije, bueno, Shinzo, tenemos que hacer algo en el comercio, esto no es justo. Y él dijo, yo sé eso, yo sé eso. Él era un gran caballero. Era un hombre fantástico. Pero él entendió inmediatamente lo que yo estaba diciendo. Dije, Shinzo, tenemos que hacer algo. Y dijo, sí, hay que hacerlo. Y trabajamos en un trato que hubiera sido un mejor acuerdo, pero francamente faltaban varios años. En fin. Si miramos a Suiza, 61%, a 31%. Indonesia, Malasia, Camboya. Miren a Camboya, 97%. Vamos a reducirlo a 40%. Ellos igual hicieron una fortuna con Estados Unidos. Reino Unido, 10%. Y vamos a ir.
Foreign nations will finally be asked to pay for the privilege of access to our market, the biggest market in the world. We're right now the biggest market in the world. We had a great country 4 years ago in terms of
de 10%. Entonces haremos lo mismo que ellos hacen. A Sudáfrica, 60%, 30%. Ellos, hay unas cosas muy negativas andando allá.
Importantes que vamos a estar detallando más adelante. 20% a la Unión Europea, 34% a China y 10% a nuestro país. 10% a Chile es lo que ha anunciado el presidente Donald Trump en este llamado Día de la Liberación.
Bio Bio, siempre estamos ahí.
Pensamos como tú, hablamos los mismos temas.
Likewise to all of the foreign presidents, prime ministers, kings, queens, ambassadors, and everyone else who will soon be calling to ask for exemptions on these tariffs. I say, terminate your own tariffs, drop your barriers, don't manipulate your currencies. They manipulate their currencies like nobody can even believe, which is a bad, bad thing and very devastating to us. And start buying tens of billions of dollars of American goods. Tariffs give our country protection against those that would do us economic harm. And many people were looking to do us economic harm. Maybe not so obviously, but they were doing tremendous economic harm. But even more importantly, they will give us growth. These tariffs are going to give us growth like you haven't seen before. And it'll be something very special to watch. I am so looking forward. And Brian, it's going to happen even faster than you said. You know, you might say, but it's already started. It's already started. Work's already begun on plants all around the country. And you see that as before. These are big, rich companies. We have $61 billion started on a big plant going up. It's going to be announced over the next 2 days, and they already started work. Many of these the biggest companies in the world, they've committed to build, build, build. We're going to build, 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 sir. And they came here to see me, and they wanted to know if they could have a press conference. I do as many as I can. I'm pretty busy trying to stop Russia and Ukraine and the Middle East. We got to stop that. We got to stop the Houthis, which we're making tremendous. They like shooting ships down and out of the water, sinking ships. They get a kick out of it, but they're not getting such a kick out of it now, are they, Mr. Secretary? They're not getting such a kick out of that now. But Here are just a short list of some of the companies that have already announced and committed to investment. And this is a company that built its factories and its plants in China. Apple is going to spend $500 billion. They never spent money like that here. They're going to build their plants here. SoftBank, OpenAI, and Oracle, great companies, are investing $500 billion almost immediately. NVIDIA, a hot company, is investing hundreds of billions of dollars. They just announced. TSMC, the biggest, most important company in the world of chips from Taiwan, with no investment from us, is investing $200 billion. And they said the reason was, number one, the election of November 5th, and number two, the tariffs. They don't want to pay the tariffs, and the way they're not paying it is to build their plant here. So we're going to go from almost no percentage. We used to have 100% of the chip market. Now it's all in Taiwan. Almost all of it's in Taiwan, a couple of other countries, but mostly in Taiwan. And think of it, we had 100%. We lost it because of people in that office that didn't do their job. They allowed it to be stolen from us. Johnson & Johnson, great company, $55 billion. Eli Lilly, $27 billion. Meta is investing $500 billion. Wow. DeMac is investing $20 billion. CMA, CGM, $20 billion. And then you have Merck and Clarios, Stellantis, General Motors, GE Aerospace, Honda, Nissan, Hyundai are all putting in billions and billions of dollars, and they're committed 100%. So. And we've never had, and this is after 2.5 months. This is after just a short, this all took place as soon as we came out with what everybody wanted to do. You know, I watched a gentleman today on television, used to work with Lee Iacocca, a very respected automobile person, and he said, you know, because they're asking people, and they try and get as many negative people as they can, but they can't find them too much. It's pretty hard to find in terms of what we're doing, especially when they see all this investment. They said, so tell me, what do you think of what Trump is doing from the automobile standpoint? He said, I can't believe it. Somebody is finally, he's an older guy, real pro, really top guy, with Lee Iacocca. He said, I never thought I'd see the day when this would happen, where somebody had the courage to go and do what has to be done. This is transforming our nation. Our entire nation is going to be transformed, not only with the cars, but on every single other item that's built. We're going to become an industrial powerhouse. And he said that so beautifully today. In fact, I'm going to find out, I'm going to get a tape, and Bruce, I'm going to get that tape, and I'm going to send it to you out in Long Island, and you're going to play it for the people. And all your union workers and your non-union workers out there, you got a pretty even split. But we have, so far, it looks like we're going to have about $6 trillion of investments, and you wouldn't do that in years in this country over the last number of years. $6 trillion, and that's going to be much higher by the end of the year. And think of what $6 trillion is. You wouldn't have even a small percentage of that under this other system. We're going to be an entirely different country, and it's going to be fantastic for the workers. It's going to be fantastic for everyone. There will never have been a transformation of a country like the transformation that's already happening in the United States of America. It's an incredible thing to watch, and it's incredible to meet with the top people, people that you read about, very wealthy people, or people that are great managers and executives and presidents of big public companies. And to watch the enthusiasm they have now that they didn't have. They gave up on our country. They went to foreign countries and they built. Companies are pouring into our country at levels never seen before, with jobs and money to follow, and it's really beautiful. In the coming days, there will be complaints from the globalists and the outsourcers and special interests and the fake news. Always, the fake news will always complain. But never forget, every prediction our opponents made about trade for the last 30 years has been proven totally wrong. They were wrong about NAFTA. They were wrong about China. They were wrong about the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which would have been a disaster if I didn't terminate it. If I didn't terminate that, United Auto Workers, you would have had no jobs in this country. You would have had no jobs. It was all going to other countries. In my first term, they said tariffs would crash the economy. Instead, we built the greatest economy in the history of the world. And again, I have great respect for President Xi of China, great respect for China, but they were taking tremendous advantage of us, and I commend them for that. I say, hey, if you can get away with it, that's okay. But, you know, they understand exactly what's happening, and they probably, most of them are saying it's about time they did something, but, and they're going to fight, and they're going to fight fair. Everyone's going to fight. You know, it's like, I say to the leaders, look, you got to take care of your country, but we have to start taking care of our country now. We can't do what we've been doing for the last 50 years. From the day of my election, the stock market went up in my first term 88%, with NASDAQ going up 155%, more than any president has ever had in any term in office, by far. And I think we're going to blow that away. And maybe the numbers won't show, but I think they're going to show much better than even those numbers. But what you're going to see is you're going to see activity, that empty, dead sites, factories that are falling down. Those factories will be knocked down, and they're going to have brand new factories built in their place. They're not only talking about renovating, they're talking about brand new, the best anywhere in the world, the biggest anywhere in the world. I have a friend who builds car plants, and I said, I want to see the biggest and the best. He said, well, we have to go to Mexico. I said, no, I want to see it in the United States. He said, we're not building them in there. This is a year and a half ago during the campaign. He said, we're not building it. You'd have to go to Mexico. When I was starting to decide to run, and I went to #1 in the polls very rapidly, I want to say, like let's say in the first hour, and then shortly thereafter, it looked like I was going to win, and the fake news was saying, "Oh no, don't do this." What they don't know is if I didn't win, they would have really been in trouble, because nobody wants to read them anyway. But I tell you what, when it looked like I was going to win, I announced that I was going to be doing exactly what we're talking about today. Great consistency, actually, because I've been talking about it for 40 years, but because I saw what was happening 40 years ago. If you look at my old speeches when I was young, very handsome, my old speeches, and that people would say, I'd be on a television show, I'd be talking about how we were being ripped off by these countries. I mean, nothing changes very much. The only thing that changed were the countries, but nothing really changes. But you know, it's why it's such an honor. It's such an honor to be finally able to do this. If you look at China, I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in my term, hundreds of billions. They never paid 10 cents to any other president, and yet they paid hundreds of billions, so much so that Biden couldn't do anything. They wanted to try and terminate it because he had a very special relationship with China. You know what the relationship was? He had a special relationship. But the numbers were so big, that they couldn't do it. So they did ease it up. They did things that they shouldn't have done. They made it a lot more comfortable for them, but they couldn't do it because the numbers were hundreds of billions of dollars, and I did that. And we were on our way to doing something like incredible. And then we had a very bad election happen, a very bad election. A lot of bad things happened. So when I said we got to do it again, I said we have to make it too big to rig. And we made it too big to rig, and we won in records. And it was a monumental win. And it was such an honor to see so many of you, like Brian and your friends, here with us to celebrate, and to more importantly celebrate what we're doing, because that wouldn't be a full celebration if we didn't do this. Because this will be an entirely different country in a short period of time. It'll be something the whole world will be talking about it. The critics made the very tired predictions earlier this year, but in February, core inflation dropped to the lowest rate in 4 years. And the price of eggs, as you know, just in a month and a half, we were there for 4 weeks. And the first week, I got blamed for eggs. I said, I just got here. They said eggs have gone up at like 250%, and you can't get eggs. And they were going crazy. And I said, I just got here. And then we got to work on eggs, and we got to work on everything. And our great Secretary of Agriculture, you did a fantastic job. Brooke Rollins, she did a fantastic job. And as I said before, the price of eggs dropped now 59%, and they're going down more, and the availability is fantastic. They were saying that for Easter, please don't use eggs. Could you use plastic eggs? I said, we don't want to do that. We want to and you really came through. It's an amazing job. Thank you very much, Brooke. You did great. But likewise, an old-fashioned term that we use, groceries. I used it in the campaign. It's such an old-fashioned term, but a beautiful term, groceries. It sort of says a bag with different things in it. Groceries went through the roof, and I campaigned on that. I talked about the word groceries for a lot, and energy costs now are down, groceries are down, gasoline is way under $3, and people are beginning to be able to buy things and live again. We brought prices way down. We created 10,000 already in a few weeks, new manufacturing jobs, and it was that took place in 1 month, numbers that they haven't seen in a long time. We had virtually no inflation under my term. We had virtually no inflation for 4 years, but after transitioning over to Sleepy Joe, it went from almost non-existent to the highest in the history of our country. They had the highest inflation in the history of our country, brought up by energy and bad spending and bad policy, and a lot of bad things happened. How about allowing millions and millions and millions of people to pour into our country with open borders, where it's so sad to see even now, and I see our great secretary you have done. Stand up, please, Christy. Stand up. Christy Noem. And Tom Homan. These people are doing a great job, but gotten them out in records. We have problems with judges that don't want them to go out. They want Tren de Aragua, and they want MS-13, the most vicious gangs ever. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Absolute killer gangs. They kill people. They don't even think about it. And we put them out, and we have judges now, radical left judges that want to. They don't want them to go out. They want them to even be brought back. Let's bring them back. You've done a fantastic job, and please thank everybody. Homeland Security, thank everybody. Appreciate it. And we now have a border that's the best border that we've ever had, even better than it was my first term. My first term we did good, but this one we really specialized in. We've done really well. And we had records then. We had the best, safest border. 4 years ago, we had the best border there ever was. And now we have, you've actually matched it and done even better. And we're going to get it down the right way. And we want people, by the way, to come into our country, but we want to come in through a legal process. We want them to come in legally. We need more people. We need people to run these plants and to help the auto workers and the Teamsters and the non-union people and everybody else, but we need people, and the farmers. And we're going to let people come in, but they want to come in. We want them to come in legally. They have to have the capability of loving our country, not people that hate our country. We don't want them in our country. And now we're going to pass the largest tax cuts in American history, and that's where we're relying on Mike and John Thune. And we will not cut Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid benefits, and the Democrats will, because if they got in, the entire economy would collapse. This country was heading for a collapse under the people that you saw. They were horrible. I think one of the reasons people like the job, I have my highest approval ratings because I think they're comparing me to the worst administration in the history of our country, so I appreciate that at least. But Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, and Senate Majority Leader, appreciate it, Mike. John Thune have been fantastic, by the way. But they've been working tirelessly on taking the next step to pass the plan for our one big, beautiful bill. I'd like to name it that if you can. One big, beautiful. I made that statement about 6 months ago, and everybody calls it one big, beautiful bill. And it will be that. It'll have everything, the big tax cuts and every incentive there is. And it'll be fantastic. And by the way, for the cars, we're asking for an interest deduction on a loan. So if you build the car, only in America we do it, Brian. If the car's not built in America, you don't get the interest rate deduction. But if you build the car in America, if you buy a car, if it's built in America, then you get an interest rate deduction, tax deduction, and that's a big thing. That's going to be a big thing. I think that's going to pay for itself very quickly, that deduction. Never happened. We've never had anything like that before. Somebody said, where do you get the idea? Because it's so basic. You would think that would have happened a long time ago. It never did, and I'm very happy it didn't, because now I can say that was my idea. But we're going to get us closer to the debt extension. We have to get the debt extension passed, and I know you're going to be able to do that, Mike, and it's very important that you do that. and all of the other things that the Senate budget plan gives us, along with working, because I know they're working together, John and Mike, and the two bills are going very well together. We need to get our shared priorities done, including certain permanent tax cuts. We want the tax cuts to be permanent, spending cuts, energy and historic investments in defense, border, and so much more. We're covering everything. These will be phenomenal. There'll be no bill like this going to straighten. One bill is going to straighten out our country for many, many years to come. And we said, let's just do it and let's get it done. And some guys will love it and some guys will like it a little bit less because they're not getting what they were exactly looking for, but they're getting a lot. They'll never, if we get this done, it'll be the most incredible bill ever passed in the history of our Congress and Senate and congressmen, the senators and the congressmen, many of whom are here today, will be very proud of themselves. I really believe that it's going to set us on a whole new prosperous path. We're going to cut spending and right-size the budget back to where it should be. We're going to do that very strongly. Thank you, Rick. Thank you. John, thank you. Oh, look at all of our senators over there. Oh, boy, that's a nice group of people. But I won't like them so much if they don't get this bill done. That's a great group. And Congressman, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Tremendous people. The Senate plan is my complete and total support, and the House plan likewise is very similar. They're moving along pretty much at the same clip, and as soon as you're ready, you'll show it to me, and I'm sure it'll have my support, Mike. Every Republican congressman and senator must unify. We have to unify. We can't be separated. We have to get it done. We have to get absolutely everything we can, and we have to take care of the American people. That's the only thing that matters. We have to take care of the American people first. We need to pass this bill immediately, get it done, including debt extension. From this day on, we're not going to let anyone tell us that American workers and families cannot have the future that they deserve. We're going to produce the cars and ships, chips, airplanes, minerals, and medicines that we need right here in America. The pharmaceutical companies are going to become roaring back. They're coming roaring back. They're all coming back to our country because if they don't, they got a big tax to pay. And if they do, I'll be very happy, and you're going to be very happy, and you're going to be very safe. We're going to build our future with American hands, with American heart, American steel, and we're going to build it with American pride like we used to. We're approaching our 100th day as president and have been given credit by a lot of people, actually, even some of the fake news. Can you believe it? Which in this case hopefully isn't fake, for having done more in that time than any other administration in the history of our country in the first 100 days. I think we've had an amazing, in terms of what we've done, what we've gotten accomplished. I'd like to see if we can get that war ended and another war from not starting in the Middle East. We have to get Russia. They're losing 2,000 on average, 2,500 people today, young people, soldiers, Russian, think of that. 2,500 through some days, but on average, probably over about a 1 week period, it's 2,712, they say. They're losing those soldiers. They're dying. They're being decimated. And they're not from our country, but they're from other countries, but they're human beings. They're from Russia. They're from Ukraine in this period, most of them. And we're going to get it stopped. It's a senseless war that would have never happened if I was president, and it shouldn't be allowed to go on. And I think we're being given good cooperation by Russia and by Ukraine, but we have to get it stopped. It's humanity. It's humanity. It's a terrible thing. This will be a very big moment. I think you're going to remember today. It's going to be a free nation that we're dealing with. We're going to have a very free and beautiful nation. It's going to be Liberation Day in America, and it's going to be a day that hopefully you're going to look back in years to come and you're going to say, you know, he was right. This has turned out to be one of the most important days in the history of our country. God bless you and God bless America. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. this is Will, everybody. He's going to just give you a little bit of a briefing on what we're signing.
Good afternoon, y'all. We have two documents prepared for the president's signature today. One closes what's referred to as the de minimis loophole.